So let's talk about the independent grind. Let's do an artist reality check for 2026.
Well, I think artists and these new artists, and even the artists who have been in the game for a while, I think things and listeners have been essentially saying that everything is repetitive. The music gets repetitive, I believe. Um, Artists aren't dabbling in multiple genres like they used to. Um, we have, artists not really trying. Uh, just everything's like nonchalant, so nobody's putting 100% effort into the actual art of music making anymore, which is diminishing, especially hip hop and R&B, I believe these days. So
Now, a lot of people are saying hip hop is dead. So what's your take on that? How do you feel about that? It's dead.
I would say in some aspects, I could see where they're coming from. There are still real hip hop artists out there. It is not the status quo now, and I believe that also goes with just everybody, essentially like just cheapening the brand. It's almost everything is diluted these days. Everything is repetitive. Nobody wants to rap anymore. Everybody wants to, or the difference between using auto-tune and also, that's the only thing you use. So, the bars, a lot of things have been, I think, just diminished. The credibility's diminished. The hard work, the effort, a lot of that stuff is downgrading in this genre specifically.
Now another reality check. How's it being an artist and having to pay for everything?
I think that's one of the biggest things that artists don't really understand these days, is that when you are the artist, you are in control of everything, especially independently. If you don't have a manager, if you don't have a label, you are in control of your studio time. You're in control of the mixing and mastering. You're in control of the production, which is, the beats. You're in control of everything, the promo. For a lot of, artists early on in their careers, they'll pay to perform at certain events. So you're paying for that. You're paying all the travel, hotels that you need to develop and get yourself where you need to. So sometimes I kind of laugh at, when people run across me, oh, I do music too. Do you? Because, are you sacrificing everything that you have? It's paying for everything is the artist's job. If you want to be, that guy or that girl, and you have your independent grind, and until you have that label, until you have that team, you are paying for everything, and it sucks. And
You're not wrong. I know
Yes.
a lot of people who do the pay to play, and
absolutely.
and what you said, obviously I know you and I know all the work and time you put in, and there is a huge difference, and you're not wrong about that.
Absolutely.
Now the next question, let's talk about some music industry combos. Is talent enough anymore to make it?
No, talent is not enough. We're in an age where the labels, whether they be the mid-major or the major labels, they want a complete product. They don't want. We've lost artist development. So it's no longer, okay, that person can sing very well, let's work on them, let's get them to where they need to be, which is also a reason why the sound quality of this music, of music in general these days, is down. Everything's down. right now, and you can, like I said, you can hear it. You can hear it through the fans. You can hear it through, you know, the critics. Everybody is down. You don't have people. You don't have people who are training these artists how to hit certain notes. There's certain notes that you have to be able to hit in music. There's certain, you know, things just basic like studio etiquette that, you know, people don't follow anymore. And, you know, everything I think right now is just like it's cheapening the value. So yeah, so talent is not respected anymore. It's essentially a popularity contest, and that's where you're at.
Who can bring the most
Who
views?
can bring the most views? Who has the most drama? You know,
That leads up to the next question I was going to ask, which I could have asked, you know, with your independent grind, but how do you feel about the social media? Do you think that it's, you know, affected it? It's obviously the pressure that comes with it.
absolutely. So I think social media, it definitely has a lot of pressure. It puts a lot of pressure on the artists to appease their listeners through pictures and videos and content, and but what it's really doing in the long run is cheapening your brand, cheapening your name, being overly, you know, active on social media, whether it be, you know, going live all the time, or, you know, all the drama that these artists, you know, all the excess non-music related things, it cheapens your brand, and it ruins your mystique, because we're used to, you know, when we grew up in the, you know, 90s, early 2000s, whatever, we're used to the artists being, you know, moving with a certain level of, you know, mystique, and being under the radar, and, you know, when they pop up, it's a big thing. So now we see these people every day, and it's like, okay, it's never for music anymore. It's always for the drama or this or that. It's never for the music. So, like, my advice, I guess, to artists is take all that energy that you put into social media and actually put it towards your talent, and put it towards your rollout, put it towards your, you know, whatever, and let the music speak for itself.
No, that part. Let's talk about plans for real artists.
So I call them, I don't necessarily call them plants as much as I believe that it's like nepo artists, nepotism artists, like people who know somebody who has an in at, whether, you know, they're your friend, or, you know, your uncle or your dad, or, you know, somebody who owns an entertainment company or a promotion company, whatever, a marketing company, whatever the case may be. I think a lot of people get on that way, and they don't have to put much work or effort into actually creating. And that is, once again, another thing that is cheapening the brand of music, because now you have a bunch of artists who are inexperienced, who don't put the work in, who don't spend the hours and hours and hours in the studios, and, you know, they drop one single and yeah, it goes crazy, because guess what? The labels are paying for it to go crazy. It's not necessarily that the song's even good. It's just that they have the money behind it, and unfair to, you know, real artists who actually spend the time, you know, myself included, you know, 12, 15 hours in the studio, 5 studio sessions to work on one song. And you have this person who can go in and do the da-da-da-da-da-da, and now they got a record, $8 million, right? You know, yeah. So it's just like, so yeah, it ruins music, and you see it now. And I'm happy everybody is starting to see it, but, you know, it's definitely one of those things that is cheapening music, and it's cheapening hip hop and R&B genres as a whole.
Now let's dive into the streaming revenue. How do you feel about that? I know a lot of people, you know, DistroKid is obviously a huge platform, but I always get back and forth opinions.
Right. So distribution and you know, publishing, they're different things. So when you have distribution, you have your TuneCores, your DistroKids, your United Masters, your I think I'm blanking on another big one. So what they're doing is, instead of, you know, how it was back in the days in the 90s, early 2000s, still, you know, some artists today, instead of going out to those stores and buying that $15 album, $17 album, whatever you're pricing your album at, instead of going out to the store, you're now paying a $12, the listener is now paying a $12 fee, monthly fee, or, you know, however much, you know, Apple Music or Spotify, and they're getting every single thing, every single song that is known to man. And it's not necessarily fair to the artist. So there's a positive and a negative. It's not necessarily fair to the artist, but it's a situation where at least artists who are trying to come up, but double-edged sword, not all artists should be artists, you know, I mean, let's keep it a buck. So not all artists should be artists, but to keep it a buck, the artists that are, you know, do have talent, it's a great way for them to get noticed and say, hey, you know, I take my music seriously, cool. But as far as the splits go, as far as, you know, what the distribution company, label, you know, whatever, your management, whatever, however it splits, it's not always fair, because you're making pennies for a stream, you know, when, you know, like I said, back in the days, people are lining up out the store. If you're, you know, an artist, people are lining out the store and they're paying 15, you know, so people are actually making good money off of these albums. And then their fans are real fans, because when you spend $15 on something versus when you essentially get every album free, then it becomes a situation of, does that person really love your music? Or do they like that one song? Can they really dive into the entire project? Versus, okay, they want to hear Whitney Houston, and 5 seconds later they want to hear Mariah Carey. And it's just like, okay, but like, there's like, you're losing the whole point of like albums, EPs. You're losing that these days, and that's a huge issue, because, you know, you might like one song, great, but like, if you listen to a lot of artists, a lot of, you know, developed artists, their album is like almost like a story, like Good Kid, Mad City, right? It's like a story, right? There's a storyline behind it. There's, you know, yeah. So you're losing all of that with the streaming platforms.
How do you feel about AI creating music? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay. So, I think overall it's a bad thing.
I could agree.
With the Sunos and the, you know, the Sunos specifically. Yeah, I'm calling you out. I think it's a good way to brainstorm ideas. I think it's a great way to, so me as an artist, my golden spot or sweet spot is C major, B minor. So if I have a song or a feature that may be in A major, which is not a strong key for me, I can go into an AI platform and see how it should sound, how to hit those notes. So it is a help, but
using it to create music.
But using it to actually create music, absolutely not. You can use it for reference, you can use it for, and it just obvious, I'm sure things will improve over time because, and also, if you don't know, platforms like Suno, once you upload your sound, once you upload your music into those platforms, you give away your rights.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wonder how many people actually know that.
So yeah, as soon as it doesn't matter if you don't post it, it doesn't matter if you don't post it to the public, like you have waived your rights to that music, to Suno. So now Suno can do whatever it wants. And
what's your opinion on signing with a label or staying independent?
well, you need a label, and that's the big misconception of the last 10 years, especially in the rap industry. Everybody's like, oh, fuck a label.
There's a lot of independent, yeah.
Okay. And we see what happens when you do that. If you have to realize that the music industry is $1 billion industry, and if you're not making those quote unquote cogs, or those people in those offices, if you're not making them money some way, then they're gonna figure out a way to stifle you. So we just saw it with La Russell. Yeah, cool. You're making $14,000 an album. That's great. But guess what? You can't enter Billboard charts. So that's hurting your legacy. So now you gotta sign with Def Jam. So now you need the label. And also you just need the label for the simple fact of the label. The reason they're called the gatekeepers is because they have that Rolodex. They have that black book of names and numbers that you need of, radio show hosts and, people to get you on the airways. People, because radio is still king, and people don't understand that. Radio is still king. And in order to get you on those airways, get you into those, performances, get you into those venues, you need that. Now, when you go off on your own, and when you get signed, essentially, to this label, you learn who these people are, you jot numbers down, you connect with people, and then at that point, you can do what, other artists have done, which is go independent, but you've already fulfilled your label contract, you did your business, and you collected those contacts, because that's really what the labels do. They put the money, and then they also put you in with these venues and these radio stations, and you need those things. These interviewers, you need those things. Absolutely need those things. So the independent artist, and also most people who say fuck it independent or fuck a label or whatever, they say they have some form of label distribution deal, so you can't believe that shit at all.
Yeah, you can have half of what you hear, or what is it? Yeah, none of what you hear,
and half of what you see. Absolutely.
Let's dive into your the personal and real life.
Oh shit.
Let's talk about how overall this is, affecting your mental health and your creativity.
Okay, so if you're doing music the right way, I believe you're not actually doing music. I believe it's more so vented. When you hear I'm blue, or if you hear I took a pill, when you hear those songs, they might be, upbeat, but when you actually pay attention to the lyrics of Mike Posner, or a lot of these artists, you actually take a deep dive into what's going on, especially if they're the actual writers of music, because we obviously understand that not everybody writes their own music now. But when you're dealing with actual writers, you're dealing with people who are expressing what's actually going on in their real life, strife and the struggle and the things that they deal with on a daily basis. So being an artist who I don't believe in just like creating music. I don't believe in creating music for money. It's more so you're creating music for yourself. You're creating music for to relate to people essentially who go through things that you might have gone through. And so essentially it's not really just making music, you're venting if you're doing it the right way. So it's very hard like creating certain songs and doing, for me it's hard creating every song because I make every song cater to my actual life. So whether it's you feel like it's a twerk song or not, there's something in there, there's a little, you know, tidbit in there that might be, you know, something that I've gone through or something that, you know, isn't so like upbeat, you know, and yeah, so when you are in that creative process, you're bringing up old traumas, you're bringing up old things that hurt you or blah blah blah, you know, so it definitely affects your mental health. And then, you know, creating it, you're bringing it up over and over and over and over again. So yeah, so it does take a toll actually.
What about the friendships? How have those changed as you have, you know, obviously you keep growing, so how's the friendships?
Man,
it changes over time.
Absolutely. So your real friends kind of stick around. They stick around, they support, and the ones that are just like, a lot of people stand close enough to, you know, gain the benefits of your success, but far enough away that if you fail, they get to say I told you so with the rest of the, you know, people that dislike you, so they can kind of like stand, it's like a tier difficult game because a lot of people play a good one, they play a good game. So you know, you have to understand that it's who's who, right. You know, and that can be challenging.
No, it really can. You're not wrong there, man. People have a really good way. But you know, like you said, snakes in the grass.
Absolutely.
Now, how does hometown support? How does that, you know, factor into your success?
Absolutely. I mean, it's everything, because hometown support is as vital as and as needed as, like, well, it's kind of like a balance, right? So when you're an artist, especially in this rap genre, when you're an artist coming up out of, you know, one of these cities, you know, if you're a rap artist, typically, you know, we come out of the grungier, the, you know, the more dangerous cities. So you have to get at least as much love as you do hate, right? Because this rap game is dangerous. You know, we lose a lot of rap artists every year to this, whether it be mainstream, whether it be, you know, indie artists, you know, young. We lose a lot of people, you know, in this game. So if your hate outweighs the love that you get, then, you know, you could become a target. So that, you know, that's the difference. That hate/love could be the difference between life and death. But if you are respected and loved in your hometown, then you have that, you know, that balance of, you know, people think twice before, you know, doing certain things. So, like, yeah, very much it's the difference between life and death in this game.
You know, it is a very dangerous game to be. Yes. And you are not wrong. Now, what are some of the sacrifices behind chasing the dream and that you put in?
Man, that's a crazy question. So, people want to say, like, when you sacrifice, people sacrifice their souls or sell their souls or whatever. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's people sacrifice their entire lives, their entire well-being to that dream. And, you know, if you are serious about this dream, you have to essentially sacrifice everything. I mean, you have to go against everybody you potentially love. You have to go against all your friends, you know, who might think you're dreaming too big, or you're dreaming too big for them. So you have to go against your parents a lot of the time. A lot of these hip-hop artists and R&B artists, you know, their parents don't like secular music, or they don't like, you know, music in general, you know. So especially if you come from a religious family, so you sacrifice those relationships that you have with the people that are close to you. You sacrifice money all the time if you take it seriously. And it's, you know, it's daunting, everything that you lose. So I think that is the true sacrifice that people, you know, people say it's like spirit. Cool, bro. Maybe they do. But like, if you are a real artist, you understand that, like, if you've really been down in those trenches, in those studios, and then, you know, and really grinded through this shit, like, you know that you have to damn near sacrifice everything.
So, do you believe in the Illuminati?
I do.
This was a random question.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I do. I
know a lot of people.
I do.
You know?
I do.
So
I do.
Good.
I go ahead. Hurry up.
Right. Let's dive into a different topic. Let's do some deep dive questions. What does success look like to you?
Success is, to me personally, I think it's more of a legacy thing. Success to me is legacy. What legacy are you leaving? A lot of people are money driven. A lot of people are, they're driven by, you know, the fancy cars, the materialistic things. Absolutely. So, that stuff's queen. I like that stuff. I'm a human, right? But that doesn't drive me. What drives me in music is what legacy you leave. And that's one of those things that I believe is lost in music, period, is people don't care about their legacies, because if they did, I feel like people would move a lot different.
Speaking of legacies, my next question here is, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Or are you trying behind?
I want people, I want kids who have been through like everything, you know, negative under the sun. I want them to be able to like, not in a violent way, but to get their get back, you know? That's kind of what my music is about, is like getting your get back, man. Fuck being nice, you know, fuck that shit, because, you know, people who did wrong by you, people who did wrong by your people who have done wrong, you know, and you know, and it personally affected you. I want you to get that get back. They need that. Like I said, I don't need it to be violent.
That part.
But I need you to understand, almost understand the art of war, and understand that you can get back without being violent, but like, make sure that you get it.
I know that phrase. So what emotions do you want your listeners to feel?
Every emotion.
Hurt. Yeah, you definitely do.
Cry. I want you to cry. I want you to hurt. I want you to be happy because, you know, you started at one place and you ended at another. I want you to feel everything. Vengeance. I want you to feel sorrow. I want you to feel pain. All of it. I want it to hit a certain you good? Is you good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I want you to hit a certain, I want my music to hit a certain chord with you, you know, and I want every emotion. I want you to dance, but I want you to understand why you're dancing. right? I want you to, you know, bob your head, but I want you to understand, like, it's not just to the beat. I want you to understand what you're bobbing your head to. So that's essentially what I want the listener to feel.
What is your biggest fear?
Letting you fuck niggas win. All the naysayers, pessimists, people who talk down, people who have the secret animosity, you fucking IG watchers.
That part.
Who watch but never comment, like, yeah, I know you, I see you.
So
my biggest fear is letting you fuckers win. I won't let you win. So here's this up.
No, that's right. Hold this real quick.
Hold this real quick.
So what's one of the biggest things, or what's something that people just automatically assume about you? That's
I believe everybody assumes that because you're a rapper, singer, whatever, that you're always partying in the club, or no. I haven't been to a club in over a year.
You live in the studio.
I live in the studio. I'm working all the time. Like, I enjoy the same things that you guys enjoy, but guess what? It's that discipline and integrity that keeps me motivated. So, no, I'm not. We don't. If you're really, truly engaged in your art and you really want to win, like, you're locked in all the time.
I mean, you definitely are, that's for sure. I know every time I talk to you, you're always
Every
in the
day.
studio.
All the time.
Now, going back to, you know, what you said, I can't say that. But how do you handle the hate from?
Go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. You're gonna feel it. I heard it. And it always gets back to me. Every time. Every time.
So let's get into the origin story. Let's talk about you personally for a little bit. How did Ram Seawolf, how did the name come about?
So, I've always had an obsession with wolves, just like how they operate, you know, how they operate in the pack, and how the loyalty that you have to operate in that type of family when it comes to hunting, when it comes to living, protecting, all of that stuff. And so I go down wolf rabbit holes, right? So, and the more that I learn about them, the more that I actually, like, sometimes I visit sanctuaries and stuff like that, the more that I learn about these animals, the more, you know, I love them more, you know, and it's like my moniker. So, so obviously Romulus, you know, Romulus, the Romulus and Remus, raised by a wolf, a female wolf. And then you got C, which is my city, Columbus, Shorty. And wolf is pretty damn obvious, so that's where that comes from. It's kind of like one of those, like, Wiz Khalifa, like, who the fuck is that guy?
Absolutely.
But, like, it's like Wiz Khalifa when he first came out, like, who the fuck is Wiz Khalifa? Like,
Yeah, you definitely, you probably passed for it.
Wolfie. But I have many, like, people call me a lot of things, Wolfie, Wolf, you know, yeah, a lot of things.
So what was your first song? I'm sure you remember. What was the first song that you ever recorded?
It was in Marion, Ohio, and it was a song called It's Fucking Ass. Don't ever listen to it. If you find it, don't listen to it. Don't listen to anything that's not new, right? Don't listen to it. But I'm sure I haven't listened to it, so that means you shouldn't listen to it. Yeah, absolutely fucking, please don't. I've grown, okay? I've grown as an artist. It's about to be the #1 song of the kind of fall.
I know, right?
I'm gonna be mad as shit. Like, y'all see all this other shit on here that you could've? Alright, cool.
So who was some of the influencers?
DMX.
Yeah.
DMX,
Okay.
man. DMX is I feel like one of the most feared hip hop acts that there were. Obviously, you know, whatever, or his side stuff, but He's one of those artists who literally would be on stage and he make you dance. He make you throw gang signs.
Oh.
Make you, you know what I'm saying? Cuss somebody out, and then make you cry, and then make you a love song, and then say a prayer for you at the end, all in one show. The one artist who had essentially had Jay-Z shook to perform after him, you know. So it's like one of those things, like everything that he put out had meaning. Like there was never a dull moment with him. Everything had meaning. So DMX is definitely a huge influence. 50 Cent too.
Okay. So what pushed you into getting music? When did you realize that, you know?
I think I was in Florida. I was a Florida jit. Yep, I was one of those. With my older cousin's boyfriend. We used to ride around Orlando and stuff like that, and he would always like play Young Jeezy, Air Forces, and Lil Wayne and Drake. Like obviously, like I grew up on music. I was one of those LimeWire kids and stuff like that. But like, just like that specific song, Air Forces, and Air Forces, I think like part 2, Air Forces 2, is the one specifically, dog. Like I felt like at that point, nigga, I'm rapping. That shit was like, that shit touched my soul. I don't know what the fuck about that song touched my fucking soul, but I was just like, fuck everything, I'm starting to rap. So then I started writing, and I was probably ass. I know I was ass, but like, you know, we all grow.
So
not everybody starts out.
About your creative process and how do you write? Do you freestyle? You know, do you write?
Before you get into a song, any song, you have to, there's 3 categories, and most artists know this. It's, you have to make music that people want, you have to make music that people need, and then you need to make music for yourself. Obviously, in the summertime, girls like shaking their ass. You know that. If you want to be big in the music game, you gotta cater to that. But where I say make it your own is like put your own, you know, personal things into those songs. And then obviously the songs that people need, whether it be historically, whether it be, you know, something that's going on in the world, whether it be, you know, things that people go through. Those are songs that people need, right? To grieve, or, you know, and then making music for yourself. That's a very wide variety. Some people like to, you know, do pain music, you know, and that's probably my favorite genre, is pain music. So
I feel like a lot of people relate to it.
Yeah, pain music. So that's kind of my genre. But yeah.
No, do you freestyle?
No. So everything is written. I feel like when you freestyle, unless you are a battle rapper or maybe Eminem, like nobody's mind works that fast to say something meaningful, like actually meaningful, without it being at least written down. And a lot of freestyles that people quote unquote freestyle in the booth are like previously written things that they might have memorized, so it's not necessarily a freestyle. But no, everything is written, but there are times where like you're in the booth and like you might forget that 16th line or something like that, and you just improvise. All right, cool. So I guess that is freestyling to an extent.
You went back in the day with your friends, y'all never just hotbox in the car and just freestyle?
I mean, they did. I was just never, I mean, and it was just like, it just never, like, how many things, like, I got a quarter and I'm running across the border, like, cool, bro. That makes no fucking sense, but they do rhyme. But did you move me? No. I feel like you gotta write something.
Now,
I mean, for real, like you listen to fucking
you're not
freestyle,
wrong.
it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm looking at the light. Oh, it's a pretty sight. Like,
I got him to spit a couple bars.
yeah, hey, like what the fuck? Like,
So,
what did you actually gain from these bars? Nothing.
do you have any studio habits or rituals that you?
I try to light a candle.
You're serious.
No, I'm being dead ass. Like I light a candle, and it's like almost like, because like I feel like when I get behind a mic, like especially like if it's like a serious rap song or some shit like that, like I feel like that it's like almost like a religious thing. Like it's like yeah, it's religious, dog.
Okay.
It's religious. It's like, damn, like light a fucking candle, dog. Like let's go.
I know.
I'm about to go in on these niggas.
What type of favorite beats, styles, or producers do you have? Do you have a favorite that you like to use?
I like, and I'm not a fan of like the industry stuff because I feel like it's overused. I feel like it's like that Lil Jon meme. It's the same beat pattern for 7 songs. You know what I'm saying? So like that shit gets old. I do like this, I guess, you can call him up and coming, but he has a lot of professional credits, and I use him a lot. Buck Roll. I feel like he's like, a beat has to speak to you, an instrumental has to speak to you. And as of late, I've actually been doing a lot of my own instrumentals and my own production. But Buck Roll, I believe he actually, you can tell that there's an emotion behind his sounds, and because they make you feel some type of way, you know, and that's what is lost. Like I don't want to hear or you know, whatever trap beat they have now, as shit gets old.
Let's talk about a song that you wrote and recorded that never got released.
Well, there's a song, there's actually 2 songs, and it was like a tiny little EP called Bad Parts. And actually I'm going to be re-releasing those remastered versions very soon. And one of the songs is called Hurt, and the other one is called Depression. And those are just 2 songs that I feel like the world actually needs. But I feel like when I released them, A, it wasn't the time, and then B, I definitely listened to them later. I'm just like, let me just make sure that these are done correctly, because really, yeah,
Timing's everything.
absolutely.
What big plans do you have coming up?
So, the last 8 years have been a hiatus, you know. I want to say before last year, I was sitting on, I believe, 23 songs. I think my budget at that point was $30,000 just for those 23 songs. And that's not including travel and hotels. That's just studio, that's the studio and mixing, mastering, production, right? So we're hitting 30K. And then I linked up with my now engineer, Kevin, and we've been, for the last year, just literally thugging it in the studio. I was in my J. Cole era, just like completely hair atrocious, everything atrocious. And Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, you see him on stage with Garth Brooks and Celine Dion. He's in one of the R. Kelly videos, Gotham City. I mean, obviously, extracurricular, whatever, out of it, R. Kelly is still the R&B, king of R&B, so hate me if you want. But that's real. So he's a very R&B based producer, and he was retired for 15 years and actually came out of retirement to start working with me. So that was a huge thing. And obviously when you work with those caliber artists, you are respected in many rooms. And just reference to young artists, just the engineering. So we started at 30,000, right? And just the engineering portion with Kevin, me and Kevin ended up and this is on the chief side because obviously we're growing together. He's an engineer as me and as an artist, and us collabing is like, you know, raising both of our ceilings. So this, just the engineering portion, mixing, mastering, recording, that's another, he's doing $1,000 per song, right? So we have 30 songs now. So on top of that already $30K that I paid out of pocket, there's another $30K. And then on top of that, Donald Baby Grand Pinto charges around, I mean, obviously if you're that caliber engine or producer, you charge a pretty penny. So he charges around a pretty penny, right? We'll just, on the low end, we'll say 6K a beat. And we now have 7 songs together. So with that being said, that's another 42,000. So with this project, right, with this project, with the music coming out within the next, who knows, but with this new music coming out, we're looking at an independent artist who, you know, obviously had to get it out of the mud himself. That's over $100,000 on this project.
That is crazy.
So, and it's not just the money, it's also the time. So,
Well, you're there.
the time, the effort, everything. So, this is what real artistry is. It's not pretty. You know, it's not pretty financially, it's not pretty wear and tear, it's not pretty, you know, on your body. You know, you develop bad eating habits, you know, sometimes you go days you don't eat at all, you know, and that's been a problem with me and Kevin. And there's been times where I've almost passed out in the booth. So, and that's the thing that like a lot of people don't see. And it's not pretty. So, and a lot of relationships ruined, a lot of people that feel neglected, a lot of people, you know, who don't understand that I'm doing it for them, but like they don't understand that. So a lot of scheduling, a lot of things that you have to go through to be a true artist and a real artist. But yeah, so we wrapped up a pretty bill for this project, so I just hope you guys enjoy it.
Now, when can they expect the project?
My mother's birthday.
Okay. Now.
So that's what the date that I have now. So June 13th, 6/13, my mother's birthday, and it's kind of like a fuck you from her. You know what I'm saying? Because she went through a lot in her life, so it's kind of like, it's like my vendetta, you know, for her.
Okay.
Going through everything that she went to is kind of like a fuck you from her. So yeah, from her son, but like also from her.
Now, where are they going to be able to find this at?
Oh, Spotify is going to be everywhere.
Everywhere?
Distribution. Yeah, absolutely. So,
That's right.
like I said, dates could change, but just understand that this is going to be an absolute bomb.
Now, you're talking 30 tracks and stuff. How many tracks are going to be on this album?
40.
Holy shit.
40.
Has anybody done anything like that before?
Drake just dropped 43 on over 3 albums.
Yeah,
but
you're talking 40 on just one?
40 on one. And it'll be divided up into sections. So you'll get a different feel every 4 tracks. So you'll have, you know, a subgenre, and then you'll have another subgenre 4 tracks later, and then you'll have another. So you just gotta follow the subgenre so it makes sense to you. So there's something in there for everybody. So there's definitely something in there. But also with that, there's also, I believe, 3 to 5 features that 3 have already been dropped. And there's 2 more in the works. And then we also have potentially another EP after that. So maybe 50.
I'm excited.
Maybe 50 in the next month.
See, and that's crazy work. But it goes to just show everything you said, you know what I mean? You have to you have to put that work, money,
Yeah.
and time and effort in,
Effort,
especially
yeah.
to get these results.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's
and we're not,
fucking-
we're, yeah, and like I said, it's this is not the cheap, like, oh, I recorded 50 songs in one night. No, we spend 5 to 6 sessions on a song, per song.
It's top
So,
quality.
you know,
Like,
me and this guy are arguing every day, so over what needs to be done. So yeah, so it's definitely exciting. It's a beautiful project. There's a lot of beautiful songs that maybe will help you through a lot of things, and
hey,
I like it.
I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I know that.
Absolutely.
So I'll be looking out for it, man.
Absolutely, it's gonna be wonderful.
Well, no, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on. Hey, it's all love always.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Hey,
Get back to it next
Roast
time.
on Rooftops.
Yes, sir. Bring
Greatest
out.
podcast in the world.